the Donkey Kong Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Malik. Hello.
I'm not going to do it.
Don't even try it. Don't even.
You know, my voice is barely hanging on, and that would just immediately demolish any chance I have of pulling off a successful Kongversation episode, because we are continuing our Donkey Kong Bananza discussion today by heading into the third world of the game, the Banadium refinery / Wild West tinged / giraffe themed, but without the giraffes, canyon layer. Yes, the canyon layer, i.e. Sublayer 300 and Sublayer 301. And in the time between the last episode of the Kongversation, the episode on the hilltop layer I did with Matt, and right now, I came down with COVID for the very first time. And Malik, let me tell you, that wasn't fun.
No, I can imagine. It sucks.
5.5 years I've avoided COVID-19, and I thought, maybe I will just never get it, and it'll just be one of those things where I just never know. And unfortunately, I caught it from family members, and I fell ill shortly after finishing the conversation with Matt. It was about 24 to 36 hours later, I started feeling funky, and not in the awesome...
Not the good kind.
Not the awesome Funky's Flights, Funky's Rentals, Funky's Armory, Funky's Flying By sort of way. I was feeling just extremely sick, and the sickest I probably felt since I've been a kid. Like, obviously, I'll have allergies, I'll have migraines from time to time, but this was just, as far as illnesses go, I think this is the worst I have felt since I was a kid, and just getting all those childhood illnesses. And I wasn't able to get work done the last week, Malik, and I'm a workaholic, and so that was really rough. It was the most inopportune time to get COVID, right when, Donkey Kong Bananza is new and everything is happening as far as the DKU, and I was just in bed most of the week. I was sleeping, I was trying to get well, and the bright side is that I did get to play quite a bit of Donkey Kong Bananza in the past week. It kind of gave me an excuse to not worry about doing work for DK Vine, and just focusing on playing the game, which of course I need to do. And Full disclosure, still nowhere near finished with Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm around 65 hours into the game now.
No, I get it.
I mean, I am loving it. I am absolutely having the time of my gaming life, maybe. But we will not be talking spoilers once again. This episode will be spoiler-free beyond Sublayer 301 when you leave the canyon layer. So, spoilers for everything that happened prior to you going through the sinkhole to the next sublayer, to the next world. Everything about that will be on the table, but we are not getting into anything beyond there. So, feel free to listen to this if you haven't gotten beyond, the next world or whatever. We're not going to spoil the game yet here on the Kongversation. And for me, because I somehow have remained unspoiled. Don't know how. It's becoming harder and harder every single day to dodge spoilers because people are just being open about them now. So I just basically have to shut out everyone. And
It's okay. I muted you when Bananza first came out. I muted all of my friends.
yeah. Well, that was
No
probably
hard
good too
feelings.
because it kept you social distanced from me as I was highly contagious.
Yeah, you can get COVID over the internet.
It was awful. I was vomiting. Not everybody vomits. Apparently, I am one of the ones who vomits when they have COVID.
Yeah, I don't remember if I ever did get it. I'm not sure if I got it, but I didn't vomit.
Yeah, it was Saturday. It was, so we were supposed to record this last week. We were supposed to actually do 2 episodes of the Kongversation every week through the month of August. And I recorded the one with Matt on the Hilltop layer, and that was supposed to be our kind of off-schedule bonus episode that was going to go live potentially like Friday, right? And we were going to record this last Friday, and then I woke up feeling under the weather, and I knew there was a likelihood I would have contracted COVID based on family members being sick with it, and sure enough, that's what I had. So by Saturday, I was running a high fever. I was vomiting once an hour, and
Ugh.
you know, I am a workaholic, and I do everything in service to DK Vine, so my biggest regret was not actually recording myself throwing up. I could have used that for something.
I know, right?
I could have saved a little bit of my vomit in the toilet bowl. And, you know, who knows? Who knows what I could use it for? Maybe as another fake URL. If you type in the forum wrong, you get a nice video of me vomiting. I don't know. There's so many good uses for it. And I lost it. I lost at the time because I didn't think ahead of time. I didn't train a camera on my toilet. And lesson learned for the next time, right?
Yeah. For the next time you get COVID, you'll be prepared.
I did have to stop playing Bananza Saturday because my fever was so high. You know, when you have such a high fever that everything kind of becomes distorted and weird, and you kind of start having those fever dreams where you're just taking outside stimuli and it's just like becoming this funhouse mirror in your cooked brain.
It usually becomes a nightmare for me. The last time that happened, I saw a zombie rat in the corner of my bedroom. But yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, for me, I was actually getting attacked by the ostriches that appear later in the game, which isn't a spoiler.
That sounds better.
They were part of the pre-release hype cycle, so I feel safe to say, yes, there are ostriches in the game. But yeah, I had to, like, stop playing the game because I was like, I can't build up negative connotations towards Donkey Kong Bananza. And so Saturday I barely played it, but then once my fever broke Sunday, I resumed it, and thankfully I don't have an ostrich phobia as a result. So
that's good. You're one of the few people on this planet who does not have an ostrich phobia.
I mean, granted, if you put me in a locked room with an ostrich, I'm probably gonna be freaking out a little bit. Like they can be vicious when they want food, and I'm just gonna like be afraid of getting kicked by one or whatever. So like, yeah, like I don't want to be shut away with an ostrich. I'm not saying, please people, please lock me in that closet with that ostrich. That would probably lead to some sort of phobias or nightmares or just
your
unpleasant
untimely death.
My untimely death even, right? Which, if I have to go, getting kicked to death by an ostrich would be pretty awesome, I have to say. Like that would be right up there with like Steve Irwin getting his heart pierced by a stingray.
Oh.
Okay. I'm not saying I liked it. I miss Steve Irwin, but what an awesome death.
I guess it is a pretty cool way to go if you have to go.
If you have to go, yeah, that's right. That's my go-to excellent death when I think of like how I would want to go. Getting pierced through the heart by a stingray, it hasn't been beaten so far.
I thought about that earlier this week, actually, just how he passed away, and just the way, just how you brought it up. I was like, oh man, we're all still thinking about him.
That's what COVID does. It makes you confront your own mortality. And I've been doing that quite a bit the last week. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Canyon Layer on this episode of The Kongversation. But if you would like more of me discussing Donkey Kong Bananza, especially because I have not been able to do the 2 episodes a week that I promised yet. I still intend to do that as soon as I'm healthy enough. This episode is kind of a test run. It's a trial to see if I'm well enough, if I've regained my strength enough to do a full conversation. And then from there, I will weigh if I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a week starting next week or whatever. But that's the thing about COVID too, is you get better, but the fatigue stays with you for a little bit. And I am like sleepy all the time now. I have to heavily caffeinate myself to get through like even a 6-hour workday. So we will be doing 2 episodes a week of The Kongversation, but until then, if you would like more of me discussing Bananza beyond the confines of this episode, I did recently appear on the podcast Nerd Cage Live to discuss the game and the resurgence of Donkey Kong Mania. I recorded it the night before I woke up sick with COVID, so it was kind of my last gasp before I was bedridden for a week. So check that out if you want more of me discussing Bananza. It is spoiler-free for the most part. They don't get into spoilers. They don't get into significant spoilers, at least. They might, like, reference a later layer or 2 that isn't common knowledge. But, you know, for the most part, everybody stayed on task and nobody mentioned anything, especially to me, because I didn't know. And I still don't know, so don't spoil the game for me, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
DK Vine is also on Patreon. I'm sorry, patrons. You pay me money to be a Donkey Kong journalist, doing all this Donkey Kong podcastery and video content, and what do? I get sick. I have let you all down, but thanks to you, I was able to afford all of the juice and decongestants that I required to get me through the last week. And want to give a shout out because we do live stream these episodes for our $5 and up patrons. Want to give a shout out to March Rose, Just a Banana in My Pocket, Chocolate Milk Drinker, S Monaco 14. Jeff is here. Jeff says, Hyle, I'm here listening from work, but can't comment further. Hi, Jeff. Gigastrike is also here. Just a Banana in My Pocket says, it's the natural order. DK rises, rare and Platonic fall, and Hyle has a near-death experience. God forbid Banjo 3 actually happens. He'll get eaten alive on the annual bear hike. Such is the natural order.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if me getting devoured by a bear would give us a new Banjo-Kazooie game, so long as I get some sort of, like, mention in the credits, I would probably do it.
for the ultimate fan, Hyle Russell.
Yeah. Also, I would
he bared and grinned it.
I would be providing that bear sustenance, so it would be a win-win, really.
Yeah.
Just a Banana in My Pocket says, pushing through COVID makes it worse in the long term. It says that I'm a precious treasure. I don't know about that. But, yeah, I know. I have, like, honestly, this sucks. This sucks because I am a workaholic. I am just fully, like, diseased in a way that isn't actually literally diseased. I am always wanting to push myself and just crank out copious amounts of podcast and doing work on videos and doing articles. And yeah, it just absolutely the worst getting sick right now. So I will try to take it easy. This has forced me to take it easy, and not happy about that. But Malik, you're healthy, you're well, you're in the prime of life. you're gonna outlive me. So what's going on with your projects right now? What's going on in the world of the cartoon gamer?
Let's see. So when my office isn't being attacked by yellow jackets, I am working on. Yeah, it's a hornet hole in there. It's not fun. I have no nostalgia for wasps that aren't video game wasps. They can all die. But I'm working on a review for Bananza, and
Nice.
that is going to be pretty good. Don't watch it until you've beaten the game.
Don't worry.
Like I'll have a spoiler-free segment, but just don't watch it until it's done and you're done with the game, and that goes for everybody else out there. But it should be good. It should be good.
Oh, I will look forward to that. That'll give me even more incentive to finish the game, right? If I didn't have any good enough incentive beforehand finishing this Donkey Kong game, it's like, ooh, I get to watch a new Cartoon Gamer video.
Yeah. That's something to look forward to. I'm happy that you're looking forward to that.
I like your stuff, Malik.
You're too kind. Way too kind. It's just the COVID talking.
It's just the COVID talk. I'm usually an asshole, a bona fide dickwad, and it's the COVID that's really, like, again, it's a brush with mortality, and it makes you more just grateful for all the people around you, and it makes you soft, and then eventually I'm going to feel impervious again, and I'm just going to spit in your face.
Yeah, I like COVID, Hyle.
Well, yeah, I haven't tested myself. I might still be testing positive. They say give it 5 days, but other family members, it took 8 days for them to start testing negative. So I'm going to give myself until about Sunday to test myself and see if I can start venturing out in the world again. But this episode is the test to see if I can do a conversation without falling over or dry heaving or whatever. So let's go. Let's go down into the canyon layer. This is probably a bad one for my lungs right now because it is dusty. It is just full of sand and grime and refinery byproduct.
Nasty.
It's a Banadium refinery that's also set in this sprawling canyon. It is giraffe themed. However, it is entirely run by Fracttones, and we'll get into all of that, exactly what's going on there. But I remember in the pre-release hype cycle, this was the world I found least interesting to look at in screenshots. I don't know. I just wasn't looking forward to this world, and maybe it's because I have no true affinity for the Wild West archetype. I'm just not that kind of person. Like, my dad likes Westerns, and it was just never a genre for my generation. Like, it was just like, oh yeah, a Western is something that was from decades ago, and it just had no appeal to me. And I don't know, the whole canyon Western, American Southwest kind of vibe. It's never been my favorite. I don't necessarily dislike it, but there's just, I don't know. I looked at the screenshots, and also another thing that confused me was I never saw any giraffes in the screenshots, and we knew there were going to be zebras and ostriches, and I was just like, where are the giraffes? Why are, at the time, didn't know they were Fracttones, why are these weird rock people in the shape of giraffes, but there are no actual giraffes here? So something wasn't clicking for me in the pre-release days, and then actually playing it and getting the full context of Canyon Layer, I really did come to appreciate and love this world by the end of it.
I did too. My sentiments are pretty much the same for you, and Like, not to go off on too much of a tangent here, but isn't there like a Western show called Bonanza?
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. But yeah, I was like, what was it? Yeah, looking at the canyon, I was like, oh man, this place is all red. And sometimes I like the Western archetype and the Wild West. Like, I just think of the Roadrunner when I think of it. But when there's like no trees and greenery, that's when I feel like it's all just desolate landscapes and rocks everywhere and things like that. But, I was playing a little bit before we started doing the Kongversation today, like maybe like 15 minutes before, just to get myself reacquainted and refreshed. And I was like, you know what? I kind of, pun intended, dig this level, and it's pretty cool. Even though, yeah, I wish there were maybe a couple of trees here and there, maybe put in some greenery with the reds and stuff, but I like this place. It's really grown on me.
Yeah, so for the record, I do think the, like, American Southwest is beautiful. It's just, like, I do like trees, and there are trees there. There is plant life, but It is one of those things where you almost have to experience it yourself to really get it. And it's something that I felt when I actually drove cross country twice. And when you actually hit the Southwest, it's just like almost this immediate shift into the desert, and it was just really awe-inspiring. But I think also Donkey Kong as a series, it's never really meshed with that kind of setting one-to-one. Like, you can do it, and you can do it well. Like, I think about Donkey Kong Country 3's ravines and how well that works for it.
Yeah.
But then I think, like, the times it doesn't really feel exactly right. Like, anytime they try to do a desert with Donkey Kong, like, I'm thinking King of Swing, maybe. It's just like, this feels a little bit shoehorned. It doesn't really work for me. Even the more tonally confused ones, like Angry Aztec, I'm just like, what is happening here? This isn't even like accurate for the Aztec civilization. But yeah, this is something that, like, once I understood what they are doing, and this is something I think Bananza does well, is it doesn't just present the archetype at face value. Like, this is the world, it's the nature that we're presenting here, and it's basically surface level. There's always a hook, there's always a twist, there's always something to bolster the environment. And in this case, it's the Banadium refinery. It's the fact that this is where they process the Banadium gems in the underground world, and they turn it into fuel and other products. And I think that helped, especially in this early stage of world building for the underground world, and like how the different sublayers actually interact with each other. And here is where they actually take the Banadium and they make stuff with it in the underground world. Not to be confused with whatever the Prospector monkeys and or Donkey Kong were going to use it for on the surface when they, discovered it in the Ingot Isle mines. This is purely underground world here. And I do like the giraffe theming around everything, because this is also something Bananza does really well in each layer, is incorporating whatever the theme is into shapes and into the environments in ways that feel natural, and some ways feel almost very subtle. And in some cases, in some layers, you barely even notice the theming. And in this case, I think it's pretty obvious. It's kind of hard to do giraffe theming and not make it super obvious. But, you've got giraffe patterns in some of the sand. You've got these weird, I guess they're supposed to be plants that are shaped like giraffe heads.
I'm looking at the picture right now. I I guess I've seen them, but I never really noticed them when I was playing the game. And I'm like, oh, God, that's a little creepy.
Well, this is what you get when you stop and look at everything and take extensive screenshots from every angle. And you're 65 hours into the game and maybe not even close to halfway done. So it's...
You just ponder, you look at these things like, oh my God, what is that?
So I think this is a plant. It could be some sort of fungus. I don't know, but it's a giraffe head, and it's just one of those pieces of landscape where you can't really break it. You just punch it, and it just flies away. But you've got, of course, these smokestacks that are shaped like giraffe necks and heads. Just, I really like the way they've done this. Again, this is something that I don't think screenshots really did justice for a lot of this game, but specifically this world in particular. I think this is something you just kind of had to experience and have it unspooled for you bit by bit versus just getting little glimpses of it and like trying to walk away with an impression. I think this world, more than any others that I've encountered, it really was sold to me in the execution.
I would agree there too. Yeah, it's just beautiful seeing the rainbow smoke come out of those giraffe heads. It's like, ooh, look at that. That's so cool. It's so mystical.
Now, granted, it'll give Donkey Kong lung cancer later in life. I mean, it's beautiful now, but you know, in 30 years, there's going to be a class action lawsuit that Donkey Kong is going to shepherd to really put this Banadium refinery out of business.
That's what a life in the mines does to somebody.
It's not glamorous. People try to glamorize it. It's like, no, I mean, black lung disease was a thing.
Yeah. It's terrible.
So beyond just the giraffe theming, you know, each layer has at least one type of ambient wildlife scurrying around. And you'll usually encounter this wildlife through breaking the terrain. And you're like, what's that? Oh, it's just... It's just a little critter. In this case, they're lizards. Little lizards scurrying around. And like the other ambient wildlife in the underground world, the lizards have crystals growing on them, growing across their spines in this case.
That's so cool. Like, I didn't even notice. These guys were the first bit of wildlife that I saw in the game for myself, but I never even noticed the crystals on them.
Yeah, they all have crystals. Cool. The crabs in Lagoon Layer have crystals. The moles in Hilltop Layer have crystal claws. They don't actually have crystals on the backs, but yeah, it's a neat little detail. And I think this is when I really like started piecing together. Oh, they all have crystals, just to kind of show the different evolutionary path in the underground world. Like these animals, maybe like, found their way into the underground world from the surface and then evolved differently from the ones we're accustomed to. Just a cool little touch. And, you know, that might also explain how we are getting, like, intelligent zebras and ostriches, you know?
Yeah.
Not to get into the animal buddy debate, Posh Ramby and what have you, but having that like evolutionary leap forward going down into the underground world maybe has to do with the Banadium. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I really like the lizards. And also, Pauline has some dialogue about the lizards, which I appreciate. So this is the world where you really start buying getaways. The getaways that you can buy in Canyon Layer go up to 10. You can get 10 getaways. And the more you buy, the more hearts you can add to your heart meter. If you sleep in one of the beds, you know, they get more comfortable the more you buy. And when you get them upgraded to their most maxed out, you can get upwards of 5 yellow hearts added to your regular heart total after you sleep. But the greatest gift of the getaways is the fact that Pauline will have dialogue the first time you go to sleep in each bed.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's so great.
Yeah, and this is when I knew I would have to buy every single getaway because you get a unique piece of dialogue from Pauline. And at first, they're just ancillary nonsense. It's just a little kid waking up the adult and annoying him. But occasionally she will say stuff that it kind of drip feeds some stuff, which I found really fascinating. But yeah, Pauline makes reference to the lizards in one of the getaway I've seen, but it's just a black screen with Pauline talking over it and the captions. But she says, "There's a lizard up there. Do you see it?" And then she says, now I'm worried it's going to fall on me. So much for getting any sleep."
I mean, there's a lot of people in Australia who can relate to that.
I mean, yeah, like, I love lizards. I wouldn't want a lizard crawling in my mouth.
Yeah, no, that's unsavory.
It's the same thing about ostriches, right? I love ostriches. I don't want to be locked in a small closet with an ostrich.
I thought you were going to say I don't want an ostrich crawling into my mouth.
Don't want that either, to be quite frank. Gun to my head, would I want an ostrich in my mouth? No.
Even without a gun to your head? No, I don't want an ostrich in my mouth.
We'll be talking a little bit more about the Pauline getaway dialogue. But I'm not going to quote all of them in these episodes, but I am going to bring up the ones I found most interesting or fun. So, yeah, I do take screenshots of all of them, Malik.
I can believe that. And I found 11 getaways here when I was playing today. Like, I found
11.
an 11th one. Yeah. And I was like, well, how many of these are in here, dude?
Maybe I was wrong. Okay, well, anyway.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah. There is like lots of lore in the way of the like stone tablets with the banana glyphs on them that you can read that provide a lot of exposition about the Banadium refinery. And like, can I just say, I know it's been so long since we've had a 3D Donkey Kong game, but I was not prepared for the amount of world building in Donkey Kong Bananza.
Yeah, me neither. And I was like, what is this? I gotta find every single one of these. I mean, I didn't read all of them in order or whatever, but I was just like, who wrote this? What's this about? And it's like, this is so good.
Yeah, and it's not necessary, but it's just there to really, I think, set the scene for each layer and really make you buy into it. And I mean, again, it makes me crack up what the discourse was from the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct to release, that, you know, Nintendo doesn't give a shit about Donkey Kong lore. You know, go kick rocks.
Or punch rocks.
Oh, yeah. I'm so tired of quoting that Kotaku headline, but, you know, it is just like night and day compared to what some of the brain trust out there were trying to make us think versus what the game is actually doing. And even at this early stage, I was like, oh, you know, those of us who had faith are like instantly getting rewarded by just how much care and thought and craftsmanship is being put into building the world of Bananza.
It's so good. And like, I always feel bad because you can destroy these too. And when I accidentally do that, I'm like, oh God, that was an ancient text and I just destroyed it. Can we please make these indestructible?
It is frustrating. I mean, it's only happened to me a couple times, but when you try to get up close to read it, but it's before you get the prompt and you accidentally smash it and you're like, oh no. Now, thankfully,
like,
of course, you can reset terrain, or you just, you know, quit the game and then start it back again and the terrain is back. So it's not permanent, but
right.
It is one of those things where it's just like, no, I wanted to read that. Why did I smash it?
I do like how you can read the back and it's like, this is the back, stupid. Go to the front.
The tablets like help explain what's happening in this world. And yes, the rainbow colored smoke that you mentioned, it is from the Banadium gems being, I guess, processed. And that is the color that emanates when they're reduced to this, I guess, fuel state. I don't know, but the one stone tablet mentions, it says, seems the Banadium gems have sprinkled their glittery colors on all sorts of stuff around here. Can't say we mind such a lovely sight. It inspires everyone to work even harder. That's from the refinery foreman, who has left his mark on lots of different corners of the canyon layer. More on the refinery foreman later, because I think he's kind of a dick.
It sounds like it just from that. It's like, good, these rainbow colors will make everyone work harder and we don't have to pay them extra. Isn't that great?
Literally rainbow capitalism.
Where is this guy now? You think he died from like the fumes?
Well, it is the Fractones who are running this refinery. And you talk to one and they say, we might not look the part, but all of us Fractones around here are engineers. Our refinery gathers bananas from all over the underground world and melts them down to goop. Goop. And they use mine carts to bring the bananas right to the refinery. And that is the other big hook of this world, the introduction of Bananza's version of mine carts, which, it's pretty easy breezy, these mine carts, because it's all automated. It's really more of a animated kind of gimmick than it is Donkey Kong Country style. You are controlling this minecart to jump over gaps and what have you. It's really just, one, a method of transportation, and two, later on, a way to facilitate having on-rails chucking sections.
Yeah, it's very cinematic though. I do like that, and I love just hearing the whistle blowing when you go off in one of them. It's like, ooh,
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about it, because I think Ukulele proved how difficult minecarts can be in 3D.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how Ukulele is going to remedy the situation, although we do know that Kartos will be back in it. So it is kind of like, well, we've seen how difficult it is to actually pull that off in 3D. Even Donkey Kong 64, I mean, it wasn't terrible in DK64, but it was a little clunky. It was a little bit cumbersome. Yeah. So the fact that this is just kind of, like you said, cinematic, and it's just really there for the razzle dazzle, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
So most layers introduce a new baddie type, and or heavily incorporate a couple different Voidco baddies. And in the case of the Canyon layer, we are introduced to Squealoids, which are the pigs who are like, they roll.
That's what they do.
Yeah, you punch them or whack them, and then they roll backwards very violently, and they can just roll up hills or steep cliffs and like clear terrain underneath them. And that will come in handy later in the game. But the Squealoids were annoying at first, but I came to really like them and appreciate them as a tool, because I think that my biggest gripe with Squealoids is that when you get a vinyl disc from them, if you knock them back into it, like off a cliff or something, and then you see the vinyl disc pop up and then it just drops and you're like, no!
You stupid Squealoids. that has happened quite a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine. You'll have another shot at getting that I mean, it's basically, whenever you get into a new area of the game that provides you new music, it's pretty quick that you'll have an opportunity to get it on a disc for your getaway. So it's not like you're really hurting to find those vinyls. But yeah, it is just one of those things where it's just like, no, I wanted that. No.
That's the 5th time, for goodness sakes.
Especially because at this point in the game, for me, like, the vinyls were still a novelty because I hadn't really gotten much in the way of new music yet. So whenever they would pop up, I'd be like, oh my God, there's one. Like, I didn't really understand how it worked yet. And I was just like, when am I going to unlock more vinyls? This is ridiculous.
Yeah. What the heck?
The other big new baddie, and this is a big new baddie, is the Stompoids, which are basically big singular feet that jump around with a head on top.
Yeah, these guys are a little annoying.
I don't
like these guys.
They're a little annoying, but then you realize if you just take out their foot, then they're fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, don't aim for their head, aim for their foot, and then they'll break apart pretty easily. But the thing about the Stompoids that I appreciate is, like most Voidco baddies, there is the exoskeleton around them that's usually made of a material from the game, from be it dirt or concrete or whatever. And then there is like the innards that actually make up what they are. And in a lot of cases, like the case of the crocoids, they are reanimated crocodilian humanoids, i.e. Kremlings. And in the case of Stompoids, they seem to be monkey skulls.
I don't like this.
Why don't you like this, Monkey?
I don't like staring.
Monkeys have skulls.
I was like, what happened? I was like, what is this thing? What did we reanimate to make this? What's sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? What has science done?
What is grumpy
Aqua Teen Hunger Force? But yes.
What hath Grumpy Kong wrought? Yes, it is. I mean, it is a golden monkey's skull. I don't really know how else to discern this. It looks like, I mean, it even has the brow of a Kong. Whether it's a monkey or it's some sort of chimpanzee or orangutan, I don't know. But it does look like a Kong skull, which would make Stompoids some variation of Kongs. I think you could add them to the list of like Manky Kongs, Minkies, just like baddie Kongs. Or in this case, like, we don't know if they're bad in their nature. This is just a deceased simian that's been reanimated by Grumpy Kong to be a giant foot.
Where's the banana glyph that tells me the backstory of this? Because I feel like I don't want to read that one.
I really enjoy that. Once I broke apart a Stompoid for the first time and I got a good look at like what was left, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of, you know how in Donkey Kong Country 2 you've got the jungle levels in the Lost World, and on the spikes there are those skulls?
Oh yeah. Wait, some of those are crocodilian, right? Or are they human-esque?
They look human-esque, but they look more, in my eyes, they look more ape or monkey-esque than human-esque. So yeah, it just reminds me of all the times we see monkey skulls in the series.
Were you horrified back then too?
I mean, I was a kid, so I was just like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Skulls.
No, as a kid I was like, oh God, skulls. What is this? We shouldn't be seeing this stuff. That stays on the inside.
And of course there are plenty of crocoids as well throughout this layer. They still serve as like the biggest sentinels of the Voidco army, really. It's just when in doubt, put a couple crocoids in there and serve as an obstacle. But I really liked I really like the crocoids. At this point in the game, they're the baddies you have encountered the most, it feels like. And there's just something very satisfying about breaking through that exoskeleton and then getting down to their golden skeleton underneath. And they're humanoid crocodiles, so of course I'm going to have an affinity for them. But it is, I think, just a kind of a fun conceit,
Yeah.
I know pre-release there are all these questions like, well, why couldn't they just use Kremlings? Why did they have to invent all new baddies? But this is where I think the brilliance of what Bananza is doing really started crystallizing for me as far as the baddies go, because the baddies are usually made of terrain themselves. Like, everything is about the terrain, the minerals, the rocks, the different substances that Donkey Kong has to break apart or discern or figure out if he can climb, and the baddies are no different. And I really like the fact that each time you encounter one, you have to see what their exoskeleton is made out of. How am I going to defeat this one? How am I going to dispatch this wave of baddies? And you go from there. And I don't know. I think that it adds a stunning amount of variety to all enemy encounters in the game.
Yeah, I think so too. I also love going into Kong Bananza mode and punching the skeletons off of a cliff, because these guys don't despawn after a few seconds. Like in Mario games, you'll see an enemy and you'll hit them and they poof up into a cloud of dust. But these guys, you fling them across the map, they just keep going until they're out of sight. And I just think that's the funniest thing in the world. You can almost hear them screaming ah! Forever.
Can we talk too a little bit about how bloodthirsty Pauline can get?
I finish it.
yeah, it's what the hell, little girl? Where? That's
Mortal Kombat sounding.
That's what I really grew to appreciate about Pauline around this time in the game, when I realized that she has this very vindictive, angry streak where she's vicariously loving that Donkey Kong is pulverizing these baddies.
She can get away with it because she looks so sweet and innocent, but
yeah,
and on the inside, she's just kill them all, kill them all.
Even now, some 65 hours into the game, whenever Pauline says "finish it," I crack up. It makes me laugh every single time.
Yeah, it's so good. DK's whoa, girl.
Yeah. Every area of the canyon layer has a named landmark. And if you read the banana glyph tablets, you will learn more about the history of the canyon layer. And this isn't that interesting as far as the podcast goes. I recommend everybody playing the game do this and bone up on the history yourselves. But yeah, there's I'm just going down the list. There's the Underhoof Warehouse, where they store the Banadium gems, and then apparently they turned it into a watering hole. There's Twin Horn Smokestacks, where, again, and this is some Foreman lore. It says the Foreman had a plan to increase our output by doubling up on smokestacks. It was indeed a bold plan, but they soon discovered that the number of smokestacks matters less than the size of the smokestacks. And then that leads us to Neckreach Smokestack, where it's the largest smokestack in the underground world. And I'm well, okay, but how many smokestacks are in the underground world? Probably not that many. I mean, it's yeah, I've got the largest mansion in this bedroom right here,
yeah, something like that. So, big man, not that big a deal.
But the Neckreach smokestack is the one you eventually climb out of from Sublayer 301, because there's a I think that's the one with the Banadium gem on top, right? That you can't reach until it's toppled over.
Pretty sure. Yeah. I'm going to say yes.
Yes. But yeah, I just appreciate that everything has a name. Every like corner of the canyon layer has a landmark that has some sort of bullshit draft name.
Me too. Yeah. It's like, ooh, this is nice. This is very, Banjo-Kazooie-esque, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I mean, again, Super Mario Odyssey felt like it was infusing a lot of the creative philosophies of Banjo-Kazooie into a 3D Mario game. And this feels like then taking that formula and making a Donkey Kong game out of it. So it's all intermingled, this weird stew of Donkey Kong and Mario and Banjo-Kazooie. These 3D platforming series that are forever linked through various different means.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Now, beyond the giraffe iconography, one of the other big landmarks in the canyon layer is the fact that the Voidco trio of Void Kong, Grumpy Kong, and Poppy Kong carved their faces on the one mountain, on the one mesa or whatever. And they, like, across each different side of it, there's a different Voidco Kong's face, which I love because it is so rooted in Rare and Rare villains. This is what they do. This is what Rare villains do. Wizpig did it. Gruntilda did it. I mean, Donkey Kong's not a villain, but his island, come on.
They're all egotistical in some form.
In some form. They go the Mount Rushmore route, and they deface mountains with their image. But I did appreciate that, like, how long has Voidco been down here? Not terribly long, right? I mean, all things considered. We saw them on the surface at the beginning of the game. So they're just slightly ahead of Donkey Kong and Pauline, and yet somehow they had the time to face this natural landmark and put their 3 heads on there. Why? Why would you do this?
I feel like Grumpy Kong actually did it. I can't see Void Kong or Poppy lifting a finger. And I feel like Grumpy could do it in like a second.
I'm sure it was Grumpy Kong, yeah. But beyond that, there's also these little stone sculptures of Void Kong that you'll encounter as well.
I don't remember even seeing these, but it's really cool to look at. But yeah that's...
yeah, you're just like roaming around, and yeah, there's a little Void Kong sculpture, a rock statue just carved into the landscape, and you can just destroy it.
Yeah, it's just like boogie boogie, and then you just punch it and destroy it.
The other cool thing about the mountain carvings is you can destroy them. It is just terrain, and they do hide stuff in them, like Banadium gems and what have you. So,
I got my first Banadium gem in Grumpy Kong's face today, and I didn't even know it at the time. It's like, oh wait, this is Grumpy Kong's face, and it was called like banana up the nose or something. I was like, what? Where am I? Oh, Grumpy's face.
Speaking of Grumpy, of course, Grumpy Kong is or plays a prominent role in the canyon layer. But I mentioned when we did the Lagoon Layer episode with Mitchell Wolf that if you climb around the Elder Court up on the shipping crates, you can actually see Poppy Kong through the grating. She's just hanging out there before her cutscene. And if you're like just exploring like I was doing, you can see her ahead of time and she's there. And Grumpy Kong is the same way in Canyon Layer. This might be more obvious than Poppy Kong was because you'll see him on the minecart scene as you're taking the minecart over to the mountain. You'll see Grumpy Kong through the opening window working on the enormous like King Crocoid rig he utilizes in his boss fight.
I must have seen this, but it feels like a lifetime ago when I did this. But it's cool to refresh myself and see all this stuff, because like, wow, they really did care about like, just building up to these guys and making them feel like a threat, and just, is humanizing the right word, or Konganizing them, whatever, something like that.
I don't know if humanizing is the right word, but definitely making them feel like actual
fleshing
characters.
Them out. Yeah.
Like, I think that they do a good job of, and I said this before, making them feel like an ever-present threat. It's not like they just vanish from the plot and, then you will eventually have boss fights with them and then that's it. Like, they feel like they are just always present in some form or fashion in a way that feels very much like, sort of like Donkey Kong 64, where K. Rool was always like cutting into the story with his cutscenes and what have you. But this feels even more organic in that they are just in the worlds themselves, doing stuff, making mischief. And it's not like they're just being squirreled away for, eventual boss fights.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely fleshing them out, making them feel ever present. I get very classic anime trio villain vibes from them, and I like that.
I just like that they're Kongs. I like that they're
that too
villainous Kongs. I mean, it's nice that we get 3 new Kongs, and they are as fleshed out as these characters are. It's I hate to compare it to Jungle Beat, because Jungle Beat was doing its own thing, and Jungle Beat was an entirely different kind of genre as far as platformers go, but yeah. I never really got a read on any of those Kongs or what they were about other than the surface level. Well, this is a ninja, and this is a sumo wrestler.
And they're evil.
This one knows karate. This one inspires dread. Whatever. But yeah, with these, they are actual fully fleshed out characters, and they have their own personalities. And yeah, like, I was surprised that you fight Grumpy Kong, and he even gets the title card, Grumpy Kong. Like, I didn't expect it to be this early in the game that you would fight Grumpy Kong, because, Grumpy sends the boss after you in Lagoon Lair, and then there's no boss in Hilltop Lair. So you come to Canyon Lair, and the first boss you encounter there is Grumpy Kong. And I'm like, wow, we're already doing this? I wasn't expecting this early in the game. So it was kind of a nice subversion of expectations. And he does fight you. He doesn't fight you one-on-one. Like, you're not just having fisticuffs with Grumpy Kong. He does use this enormous crocoid rig. But the boss fights are kind of easy in this game. They're not that difficult. The same criticism was leveled towards Odyssey, right? Like, about the boss fights. But I at this stage, I don't really mind that the boss fights aren't that challenging.
Yeah, I never really come to like a 3D, or at least I'm thinking in terms of like Galaxy onward from this team. A majority of boss fights that they do have never been about like how hard is it. It's usually about the spectacle, and I felt the spectacle and just doing stuff and just like going to town on him. I've always had fun just doing that with these kind of bosses, and how quickly I can do it too.
I think spectacle is a good word to use for this. And I think 3D platformers, I always look at boss fights in those differently than 2D platformers. Like, 2D platformers, I expect a lot of precision in the boss fights. And with 3D platformers, that can be a little bit harder to pull off. So I'm kind of okay if they nerf it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you have a whole extra dimension to worry about. But if I see a boss fight in a 2D thing, I'm like, okay, I better get destroyed right now. But 3D, I'm just like, ooh, I'm just running around and this big thing is in the middle of the arena. Let's have some fun.
Now, you destroy a King Crocoid, whatever, like, not a suit. He almost uses it like a vehicle. But
like a mech or something.
but Grumpy's on top, and then you destroy it, and then Grumpy Kong has another pouting session.
I love how he's just like, I'll get you next time. I'll do better. And I'm like, you have my respect, dude. I hope to see you again soon. Because I feel like you can do it. I feel like you could, get me one of these days. And I want to see what you have next for me in store.
I do like how they just sit around after their defeat and they're just like, that shit sucks.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, man, maybe next time, man.
And you can smack them and do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's so great. It's like, oh, this is so cool. It's like they're very punch clock villains in that sense, where it's like, okay, you got me. Let's take it from the top the next day.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's 5:00, so I'm just gonna worry about this tomorrow.
Yeah, my shift's over. I'm going to bed. I'll think about it the next day. But you get out of here, man.
So when you defeat Grumpy Kong, then you can fully access Sublayer 301, which is like down in the mine, kind of down where they actually do the it's not a mine, but it's basically a mine aesthetic where it's the refinery itself. It's where they do the like hot and sweaty work of melting down the Banadium. And you've got like employee dormitories down there, and it's just, it's an interesting location because it's dark and dingy and a little bit foreboding, but it's also like got all these little creature comforts around for the employees of the refinery. And like you read a little bit about the employee dormitories, and it says the dormitory has been furnished with the highest quality beds and showering facilities. Now, I never saw any showers, Malik. I looked. Because
how old is this thing? This tablet?
Yeah, I'm also wondering, like, is this referring to the Fractones? Because do the Fractones need the shower?
Do they just sit there and like turn on the faucets by like force, using the force or whatever, and they just chill in there for a little bit?
But in my headcanon, I'm always thinking, I'm hoping there's a washroom and a bathroom in the Getaways. Like, I'm hoping there's a hidden panel in one of the Getaways where there's a toilet or a little shower or something, so Donkey Kong and or Pauline, can get clean when they want, or use the bathroom in peace when they want.
Yeah, that would be nice. Where's the bathroom up in here?
It also says that any banana chips that the refining process produces are yours to eat.
So do the Fractones eat banana chips? Do we know that?
We know the Fractones do eat or can eat from little clues provided throughout the game. So I don't know if they need to eat, but they might like the sensation of it. Yeah.
I wonder, I was about to ask what do they taste like, and probably bananas, but
yeah.
Just extreme bananas, I guess.
So Sublayer 301, it's also where the giant extra rare fossil is located in this world. Now, in Hilltop Layer, we only had the one type of fossil, and it was like half of basically what you normally find. Canyon Layer goes back to the system seen in Lagoon Layer of having 61 regular fossils, having 10 rare fossils and then 1 extra rare or legendary fossil. So the fossils in Canyon Layer, we're still not where they're getting completely up the Donkey Kong series ass as the fossils will eventually do. These are all just real creatures without any flourishes or Donkey Kong elements to them. Because in this case, the regular fossil, the most common fossil, is just a leaf. It's just a leaf. Not very interesting. Just get leaves. Fossilized leaves.
I like leaves.
I mean, I like the variety. And here's the thing. Like, I thought at this point, I'd be like, come on, where are the fossils we know are coming? Where's the naughty fossil? You know, give us something from the Donkey Kong series. But I enjoyed the real world paleontology of this in the early stages of the game. Because, yeah, like, leaves, I mean, there are fossilized leaves, so sure, why not? The description is a planty appendage that dates back to the dawn of life. Not bad for a simple leaf.
If it was a maple leaf, then I would be going like, hey.
The rare fossil, of which there are 10, is the trilobite. And it's funny how the descriptions can, like, talk up or demean the type of critter it was, depending on its mood. The trilobite description says, so named because of the 3 distinct lobes of its exoskeleton. At least it sounds cool.
Yeah, at least it sounds cool, but I think trilobites are kind of cool.
Yeah. But the big fossil that I was talking about is just hanging up, and you can pass it in the minecart. I think there are 2 different ways you can go about getting it. You can just lob the boom rocks at it from a minecart, or I think there's a vantage point later in the sublayer where you can actually just like lob stuff at it from like the ground from on your feet. But I did it through the minecart. I just kept going back and forth on the minecart until I got it. It's the Triceratops.
A Triceratops. Where have I seen one of these before in Donkey Kong?
Well, to be fair, Malik, this would just be a Triceratops. This isn't a Diddy Kong Racing reference. This isn't... Because...
well, yeah. It doesn't say tricky anywhere in the text. If it did, I'd be like, there it is!
And yeah, I mean, this is just an Earth Triceratops. It's not an Earth Walker from the planet Sauria. Calm down.
I will not calm down.
But it says its name means face with 3 horns, which seems rudely dismissive of this Dino Diva's fashionable frill.
Fashionable frill? I've never heard anyone say that about a Triceratops.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they did have to come up with some interesting descriptions. And this is before they could really lean into just working in references to the Donkey Kong series. So it was just like, what are we going to say about a trilobite?
Sounds like troglodyte, I guess.
Yeah, and, you know, they probably didn't want to reference Tricky. They didn't want to open that can of worms.
They stop here. It seems like something that they would want to do.
There's actually a little bit more about the Triceratops, though. If you read one of the lore tablets, it's like on the glittery byproduct of the Banadium. It's from Constructone Development, and it says they naturally pause construction whenever they find a fossil. And according to the report, it was the fossil of a creature that lived on the surface called a Triceratops. And yeah, I just like that there's a little bit there too. Like in Lagoon Layer, there was that dialogue about the whale from the one Salvager monkey that was like, oh yeah, these are the surface whales. And this is just a little bit more about the like big fossil down here, where it's like they were doing construction and then they found the Triceratops and they just stopped. Then there was like, well, we'll never bury it in the sand and forget about it just to hit a deadline. So we're just going to stop doing whatever we were doing there and just leave it.
They Tricera stopped, if you will.
And then, of course, Donkey Kong and Pauline come along and just take the fossil and then sell it for clothes or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, well, no one else is doing anything with it.
And I mean, it stays in the layer, right? Like, whatever they do with the fossils at the style shop, we don't really know, but...
It's just, or maybe it's just like an unreasonable facsimile.
So the surprising thing about the canyon layer, which I wasn't really expecting, is the multiple boss fights. Because I was like, oh, that's interesting that the boss fight came so early in canyon layer. And then you get down to Sublayer 301, and then it's like, oh no, there's going to be another boss fight down here. And this boss fight is the Mad Mixer boss fight, which... basically, they, I don't know, animate, or they put this, like, creature, this anthropomorphic monster thing on their Banadium mixer, and, oh no, it's spinning out of control. It's gonna explode. And it never, I mean, there's no, like, countdown or anything. It's never, like, any actual danger of this mixer exploding, but those are the stakes conveyed to Donkey Kong. He's got to destroy this mixer before it explodes and the Banadium refinery explodes, maybe. But
kills everybody.
Yeah. So I was like, oh no, this is going to be a minecart boss fight, because I was thinking again of Inept in Ukulele, and I was just like, I don't want to do this, but the boss fights are remarkably easy in this game in comparison to some other 3D platformers, and this is nowhere near as frustrating as the Inept battle was, because you don't really have to worry about like the minecart as far as like you'll have to evade some things, but by and large it's just you're on rails and you're chucking boom rock at the mixer, and you've got to occasionally dodge some stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking of Inept too when I saw this. Like, oh no, I just got war flashbacks because I spent like a good hour trying to beat Inept back in the day.
Right.
But yeah, this is one of those things where I'm like, I'm glad this isn't too difficult or anything. It's just quick and easy, and it's over before you even have time to think about it. But yeah, Mad Mixer doesn't really stand out in my mind as a particularly interesting boss, but
it's not.
It's not again, offensive either.
I'm not offended because it wasn't like Inept. Really, that was my biggest concern. I was like, oh, okay, this is easy. Never mind. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about this, because for me, the appeal of this game isn't so much the boss fights. It's everything else. It's the quality of the gameplay itself. For me, like the boss fights, as you said, spectacle. And, you do have to employ some strategy. It's not just mindlessly mashing buttons, but yeah, like it was fine as a set piece.
Yeah, very pretty. Very, very flashy.
And so, yeah, I was like, wow, is this the end of the layer? I feel like I haven't even explored all of the top side yet. Well, you haven't. Once you defeat the Mad Mixer, then you can access even more of Sublayer 300. You come back through the smokestack, and then you can reach the parts of the layer that you couldn't prior to this. And here is where you encounter Cranky Kong. And Cranky was remarkably not hidden in Canyon Layer. Like, I thought at this point, because he is the Captain Toad of the game, as Captain Toad was in Odyssey, just hiding off the beaten path, and you have to really, look in weird places to find him sometimes. And Cranky in Hilltop Layer was up on the big, like, floating platform that you had to, like, bring down to Earth. And I thought, well, you know, I bet Cranky's going to be on some, like, weird ledge in some obscure corner of this map. And no, you climb back to the surface, and there's Cranky Kong in this little village with Rambi. And he's just like, hey, what's up?
This is the first place I saw Cranky. I looked all over Hilltop Layer, and
really?
I found Rambi by his lonesome, and I was like, dude, where's Cranky? I found Rambi. But no, yeah, this place was the first place I found Cranky Kong. I was like, oh, that's finally I get to see you, dude. I was looking all over for you.
Yeah, you didn't even find him in Lagoon Layer then. That's interesting.
Yeah, not till the post game when I did some cleanup and I was like, oh, there you are. But I felt like such an idiot because everyone found Cranky in Lagoon Layer. It's like, where is this guy? But I just didn't explore too much. I'm
sure Cranky would have a few choice words about that.
Yeah, I'm sure he would, and they would be the same ones that he tells me here.
Yes, as I said on the Hilltop Layer episode, this, like, Cranky just repeats himself, and then he throws in one altered or a couple altered lines towards the end. He basically says the same permutation of the same thing. You know, you had your little mining misadventure, and it was up to me. I had to ride Rambi down here. Banana Bandit. Rotten Crook.
Yada, yada.
Yeah. But in this case, he says, greed, that's all it is. And greed turns the brain to mush. Everyone knows that.
Interesting. What makes this interesting to you?
What makes this interesting to me at this point in the game? Okay. And again, I'm spoiler free. So I could just be speaking out of my ass. But I very quickly clocked, and I think it was Hilltop Layer where I clocked like what Cranky was going to be all about in this game. And what each encounter with Cranky was going to be like. And I noticed how vague all of Cranky's statements were being in Hilltop Layer. Because it was the first like new Cranky dialogue I saw after Lagoon Layer, which I was already familiar with thanks to the like pre-release sessions or whatever of people playing the game. Like we already knew what Cranky was going to say in Lagoon Layer. But in Hilltop Layer and then here, I'm just like, okay, so he's basically drip feeding us. I don't know if they're clues or whatever, but it's very much like Cranky's talking about something and you think you know what Cranky's talking about, but Cranky's also speaking in ways that could be referring to something else. And I think it's interesting. And even here where it's pretty innocuous, where it's just basically he's going to pontificate on greed. It's still interesting to me that he never references Voidco. He never has dialogue with the little Void Kong head icon in the dialogue. And I'm just like, what are you doing, game?
Well, you know, Cranky likes to screw with people, and you are his son/grandson. So he's just like, I ain't gonna spell it out for you, stupid. You figure it out.
It is, I think, like, as much as I would have liked Cranky to have had more unique dialogue in each rant, it does keep true to his character, where he does say a lot of the same shit from layer to layer. It feels very, like, keeping in character with them. And again, this is the best written Cranky Kong has been since Rare.
Now, did Dustin say this in the previous... Oh, wait, no, that was Mitchell for the Lagoon Layer episode. Did he say, wouldn't it be funny if Cranky had stuff, like, from the original DKC, where he's like, a leap of faith is all you'll need to find Winky in Barrel Canyon or something? Or am I just making that up?
No, I mean, that sounds right. I have COVID brain, so I can't say for sure if Mitchell said that, but... Yeah, that would have been I think, funny, but at the same time that you wouldn't want to lead new players astray by making them like actually look for Barrel Canyon or like look for Winky. I mean, that confused me enough. I thought Winky was actually in that level, Malik.
Yep, for years.
I didn't know he was just referring to the Winky token. And I was like, I can still not find Winky in Barrel Canyon. This is driving me crazy.
It's like, why would I even need him for this level?
So Cranky is at the base or near Clack smokestack.
I like this. I like this name.
I like this name, but I have to admit it's a little bit discouraging because Clacks are a established Donkey Kong baddie. They are the Beatles from Donkey Kong Country 2. Yep.
Yep, that's it.
Which, so, you hear Clack smokestack and you're like, oh my god. Because I would expect this game would go there. I would expect there to be some sort of enormous beetle boss in this. But alas, the Clack is referring to the automated nature of Clack smokestack. The, I guess, like, obstacle course that Donkey Kong has to clamber over to get to the top.
I guess.
We do get some history of Clack smokestack on one of the lore tablets, and it says, "We shall increase our work rate by building a mechanical smokestack. That was the refinery foreman's bold plan anyway, and at first it seemed he was onto something. As productivity increased, more bits and bobs were added to the stack. More is better, the foreman declared." But soon so much machinery had been tacked on, the stacks became a chaotic mess, and no work got done at all. So,
well, that's just stupid.
Yeah, here's my question, Malik. Does the refinery foreman actually suck?
Sounds like he does.
Because there's all this stuff in these lore tablets talking about how the refinery foreman had this scheme to increase productivity, or this will keep the workers more productive. And then there's dialogue early on talking with one of the Fractones. And they said the foreman might get mad if we ride the minecarts for fun. So we never, ever do. Or at least that's what we tell the foreman. And then eventually you can get to what's labeled as the refinery foreman's private property. It's on this little mesa off to the side on its own. And it's just where the refinery foreman lives by themselves. And it says, "No getaways or barrel cannons are to be built around here either. Foreman's orders." And we don't actually meet
this dude.
we don't actually meet the refinery foreman. It sounds like it could be a Fractone or should be a Fractone, but I've never met a Fractone that's this big of a pill.
I know, right? It's like, oh, you guys are so jolly. If this was a foreman, I'd love to see what this fellow looked like. Got like angry eyebrows and stuff. Is red or something.
Angry eyebrow sounds like a Donkey Kong level.
I'd like to play that. Just his old angry brow. It's like a stage in Melee or something.
Or mode. It sounds like, we've had Master Hand and Crazy Hand, and that eventually we get the eyebrow, the angry eyebrow.
To quote Toy Story 2, prepare to meet Mr. Angry Eyes.
Well, speaking of parts of the body that are bad, we get the third and final boss fight once we get to the top of Click Clock Tower, and we Click Clock Smokestack, excuse me, and we break through it. And then we go back down into down below Sublayer 301, and that's where we get the Stompin' Clomper boss fight, which is the big Stompoid boss that you have to battle. And again, it's a Stompoid, but it's huge, and you have to aim for its feet.
I have a primal urge to always say this name with a German accent. Because it sounds German.
It does sound German, yeah. It sounds like some sort of bratwurst dish that you would get around Oktoberfest.
Ich bin ein Stompenklomper.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to say about the bosses here, except, Grumpy Kong. It's cool that you fought him, but 3 boss fights.
That's layered. That's layered on top of layered.
Yeah. But then, you defeat the Stompin' Clomper, and then you open up the sinkhole to the next world. A couple other things I want to bring up, though, about this world. There was the ruins segment where you do the girder building demolition with the Kong Bananza.
Yeah, these are kind of cool and kind of infuriating at the same time. Like, they have like a time limit, and you have to get really good at destroying stuff. And have you cheesed some? Did you cheese this one? Like, did you figure out one of the tricks here?
What's the trick?
So what was it? You can pick up a bit of dirt and then toss it at the building, and you don't even have to cross the threshold for the timer, so you can get a little bit of stuff destroyed before the timer even starts.
Oh no, I didn't do that, no.
Yeah. It's kind of fun that way. So, I can maybe get, 10-20% of stuff destroyed before before I actually have to cross over and get my hands dirty.
Yeah, like I did figure I did it, of course, and I was able to figure out the route the game intended you to take to destroy it all within the time limit. But yeah, I did though, because we saw a little bit of this in, I think, the Bananza Direct, and we didn't really know what this was going to entail, if it was going to be another one like the 2D challenge course that we talked about in the Hilltop Layer episode, Nostalgia Country. Like, is this, because we saw the girders, and it's like, is this going to be some sort of like Donkey Kong arcade throwback challenge, similar to the Donkey Kong Country nostalgia-inducing challenges? And not really. I mean, yeah, there are girders, but if you look closely at the building that you were demolishing, that the Constructone development wants you to destroy, this seems to be from Ingot Isle, and it fell down in the collapse and tumbled down here because it's got the Gold Rush and Simple Tools and arcade signs all around. So this is just some sort of ancillary building that just fell down here. I also appreciate too, nice little detail is the background of this ruin challenge looks like a city skyscape, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not actually a city. It's just shapes that make the brain think we're looking at skyscrapers, but they're not actually that. So everything has kind of plausible deniability in this. This building has a reason to be here. The reason they want it destroyed is it fell down into the underground world from the Ingot Isle cave-in. But it's also designed to look like you are in maybe Big Ape City or New Donk City or whatever,
Yeah, that's the vibe I got when I saw it on the Direct. Where it's like, is this New Donk or something? It's like, oh, but no, they're just tricking me.
So yeah, this was troublesome. I didn't cheese it, but I figured out eventually, the best route to take to get all the Banadium gems. And yeah, I also just enjoyed how it really does, like, as a game, make you get good or make you get comfortable with all your moves and skills eventually. Because, like, the Kong Bananza might not be something you would use all that much, but then it forces you into these scenarios where you are going to have to get acquainted with it. And, like, what is the, like, best ways to utilize the different Bananzas or the different, like, moves. Just like Hilltop Layer made you really get comfortable with turf surfing and chunk jumping. I like that Canyon Layer, by virtue of not introducing too much in the way of new elements, I guess minecarts would be the biggest new element here, but it really lets you luxuriate in all of the different moves you've used so far, including the Kong Bananza.
Yeah, I'll give it that too. Like, when I was trying to get this perfectly done, I'm like, all right, fine, I guess I really will have to use my brain for this. All right, but, I had fun with it, but I was like, I just want to destroy everything in like a second. But it does make you learn the arsenal of moves and fully utilize the thing. So, respect.
Right. Couple other things I want to bring up. Some Fractton miscellany, some little tidbits about Fractones that I found interesting or differ from what we've seen thus far. So Growtones make their debut here. Now, Matt and I discussed on the Hilltop Layer episode about the weird, like, ways Fractones can take shapes and almost become that thing they are emulating. So we have the, like, flower pot Fractone in Hilltop Layer, and here we are introduced to Fractone trees called Growtones, and they want you to feed them gold.
I like these guys. I mean, I love all the Fractones. There's another Fractone that I want to bring up, but these guys, they're basically like the Lumas in Super Mario Galaxy, where you gotta feed them a bunch of, in Galaxy's case, star bits, and then they will give you stuff.
Yeah. I don't know why a Fractone would want to eat gold and how that... I mean, I guess gold is a byproduct of the Banadium, just like everything else, and so there's that energy within, but yeah, they just, like, feed me gold, and it almost reminds me of Donkey Kong has a stand on this pad, and he just chucks gold at this Growtone as it grows, and it reminds me of Trough and Scoff. It reminds me of that sequence.
Mm-hmm. Even his arms kind of move in the same way.
Yeah, so it's just
forth,
like...
back and forth.
Donkey Kong's like, oh yeah, this feels familiar, right? All right, eat it up, fatty.
I think of that GIF you posted on, like, Blue Sky or Twitter back in the day, and it was just DK feeding Trough and Scoff, and it just said, gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, right, yeah. Yeah, that is one of our GIFs or GIFs on Tenor. You can pull it up whenever you want.
I think I will.
Yeah, but yeah, Growtones, I like that it just makes you think, like, how does Fractone biology work? Like, the Fractone just decides, I'm going to be a tree, and with enough time, it just becomes a tree.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So we also learn that the Fractones make something called sturdy rope, which is a proper noun, capitalized sturdy rope, because there's a lore tablet that says, a guide to sturdy rope from your friendly Fractones.
Aww.
You there, take a look around. Did you happen to notice that you're standing on a platform that hangs precariously from a crane? Perhaps you didn't. That's because the very platform your life depends on is totally sturdy, even at this great height. It's all thanks to the Fractone-made sturdy rope, the latest innovation in high-altitude construction material.
I love that. It's you there, and you're not dead because of us.
It's just so colorful and unnecessary. Like, you don't need to explain how this rope is, like, keeping this platform dangling from a crane. It's video game logic, it just does. But the fact that they put a little tablet in there and come up with this explanation, well, the Fractones, the master of minerals that they are, devised this extremely strong rope. And that's the reason why. Again, I'm not accustomed to this, Malik. This is the kind of bullshit that I would fan wank. This isn't the kind of stuff that is normally just explicitly laid out for you in a DKU game like this, or at least a Nintendo Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, like most games don't even do this that aren't like Mario or Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
They're just like, it's a video game, whatever, it floats. But we always talk about how Donkey Kong has always, especially the retro games, have prided themselves on like making sure that all the platforms you see are organic and they aren't just floating in midair. And this one is just straight up saying, hey, this one ain't floating in midair either.
Yeah, Bananza does kind of muddy that a little bit in some of the layers, but
I'll let it slide because of this explanation here for this one platform. I'm like, you know what? Cool.
I think the underground world too, like we're not really sure how physics or gravity works. You know, like what are these like pockets of environment even really? I mean, how does this work? And like
yeah.
You know, so if a platform is just like floating in the air, I'm just like, well, I guess maybe the gravitational field is just keeping it there because of the way this conceit works of the underground world. I don't know. But I'm willing to like let some things slide a little bit. And it's not like this game goes all in on that as well. Like it does provide a lot of rationale for a lot of things. And, you know, I'm more or less pleased with it.
Same here. Now there is a Fractone. It's not in the notes, but did you see the Fractone that was missing some chunks of itself?
Oh, the Fractone that you have to help reform.
Yeah. What'd you think of that one?
So this is a reoccurring Fractone type, right? Like the Hilltop layer, we saw one of these, and there you have to kind of Pied Piper 3 little Fractone pieces over to the Fractone. You do one and it gives you a Banadium gem, and then you do the other 2 and it gives you another Banadium gem. I really like this challenge, though. I think it's a fun reoccurring challenge, and it also like sometimes requires you to use your brain because you have to figure out how to get those Fractone pieces to follow you safely back to the main Fractone.
Yeah, like, what was it? When I first saw this guy in a later level, I was like, all right, I guess I'll have to do the fetch quest. But then I see the tiny little Fractones, they make the little noises, they're crying, and I went into full parent mode, and it's like, I will get you guys back home. I won't stop until I get you guys back home. And when they follow you, sometimes they trip, and I'm like, oh no, my baby!
Yeah.
It's like every time I see him, even if I've already done the thing, I'm like, no, I gotta get you back home. They made me care about this little fetch quest. It's like, oh my god.
And it does make you wonder, like, how, again, Fractone biology works, because, not to bring up ukulele again, but this reminds me of the, like, pages that are torn into several pieces. And
yes.
Here we've got little chunks of this Fractone, and they seem to have their own, like, brain. They have their own intelligence, but are they just like, is it like division? Is it just like new little baby forms of this same Fractone? Does it have its own personality, or is like the soul splintered? Like what is happening here?
Someone needs to get these guys under a microscope and find out.
We also see a lot of Fractones throughout the layer. They actually got crushed by the Stompin' Clomper. And
yeah, that made me laugh. It's like, oh, dang, guy.
Yeah, they're just pancaked. They're just completely, like, flattened Fractones. And I'm like, well, Fractones can rebuild their shape. They can reform when you break them. So how are you still a pancake? Is it like a psychological block? If something truly traumatic happens, can they not reform because they are perceiving themselves to be squished?
I know that there's another one in there where they say, like, we could get used to this shape. So I think they're just chill. They're like, hey, look at me. I love how chill they are about, like, everything. Where it's like, oh man, I got smushed. This is kind of cool. I could get used to this.
I felt squished the last week, Malik. Honestly, I felt like I was stomped by a big foot. And I know a lot of people would think I would enjoy that, but
for some reason.
Well, Pauline also wonders about fractone shapes. In some of her getaway commentary, where she's like, "Hey, DK, are you awake?" She says, you notice how fractones try to imitate all kinds of shapes? Some of them look like giraffes, I think. I wonder if there are any banana-shaped fractones. Oh no. If there are, I better make sure DK doesn't eat them.
I don't think she'll be able to stop him if there is a banana-shaped fractone. He's too late. It's already too late if he sets his sights on you.
So, I want to go through some more Pauline getaway dialogue that I found interesting, okay?
Sure.
Some of this is just, I think, it really helps flesh out the character of Pauline and her relationship with Donkey Kong. Some of it is just sweet, and I'm a big old softie. But I like, there's one piece of dialogue where Pauline wakes Donkey Kong up, and she's like fretting about their financial situation. She says, we had to use our own gold to build this getaway. And that got me worried. What do we do if we run out? I mean, an awful lot of gold does pop out of the ground and the walls when you start smashing stuff. And then she's able to, like, placate herself and she goes to sleep. But I like that this is, like, baby's first, like, worry about paying the rent.
Yeah. It's great.
She's like, oh no. Like,
how do we do this month to month?
We live in a gig economy. How are you going to make ends meet? And the cost of living keeps going up. And Donkey Kong, you just bought like 5 getaways in the last 30 minutes. Like, what? You're just recklessly spending this gold, and we're only in Sublayer 300.
So you gave all our reserves to that Grotone. That was everything we had.
But it does really make you want to then just grind for more gold, just start smashing stuff and start like obsessively like grinding to get more gold so Pauline won't worry.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, oh, snap, we're out of gold? Okay, we could just get more gold.
Speaking of Pauline having this weird bloodthirsty streak, she has this one moment where she starts talking about the crystals that are growing throughout the canyon layer, like the almost like quartz looking crystal. And she says, that crystal stuff is really pretty, isn't it? It's all glimmery and see-through. But what I really love is the way it sparkles and shines when it shatters. So if you don't mind, I want you to smash every bit of crystal you find.
Just pound it into a fine paste if you can, if you feel like it. I won't mind.
She's like, Pauline's like, oh yeah, it looks so pretty, and I want you to destroy it.
I love this Pauline. Twisted little child.
Yeah. And then she does have moments of fear related to their physical well-being, where she says, that ledge outside makes me nervous. If you walked off it in your sleep, yikes. Maybe if you tied one end of a rope to this bed and the other end around your waist, that'd keep you safe. I like that she's just, I don't know if she's worrying about herself or she's worrying about Donkey Kong. But either way, I like that at this early stage in the game, Pauline is sort of, she's viewing Donkey Kong as her protector, and she's like worrying about his well-being and like, oh no, like what happens if Donkey Kong just sleepwalks off this ledge and dies?
We just hopefully they have some balloons in stock.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I think at this point I even had like 99 balloons, so it was like there's really not much to worry about there, Pauline.
Yeah, we're fine, girl. We got money, we got balloons, life is good.
One other piece of dialogue I wanted to bring up, and again, I am not spoiled, so this is just me reacting to it in real time. Mm-hmm. But there was a piece of dialogue where Pauline starts talking about the view of the canyon layer. And she says, I used to love the view from the top of the City Hall observation deck. It was awe-inspiring. And, yeah, I sat up and grinned wildly at that part, Malik, because I was like, oh, there we go. There's our first little piece of context clue as to the nature of Pauline. And she's talking about City Hall. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, kick rocks, Kotaku. So I was just like, okay, yeah, I definitely have to buy every single Getaway so I can see all the dialogue, because the game's going to be giving me a little bit of clues as to what's going on here with the game's plot, at least as far as Pauline goes. Like the same way Cranky might be giving you some clues towards other aspects of the game, Pauline and how she relates to everything, that'll come through the Getaways. So yeah, I was like, okay, wow, this game is just going for it, and it's like just giving you enough to keep the faith, right?
Oh yeah, I totally missed this one, and if I saw it at the time, I would have been like, for real.
Yeah. Again, not spoiled. It could just be a dead end that I'm just but I mean, come on, that's explicitly saying City Hall. Like, this is a child Pauline who grew up with a City Hall setting. Oh God, I can't do that. What? Fucking COVID. I forgot.
You forgot.
I got so excited about Donkey Kong lore that I forgot I was ailing.
Well, you're still alive.
Maybe. That actually hurt my lungs. It's burning right now. like I huffed some Banadium ore.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of going extinct, I want to talk to you a little bit about the saga of the Exploratone and the mystery of the Giraffes.
Let's hear it.
So, the Exploratone, that was first established at the end of Hilltop Layer, before Donkey Kong and Pauline go through the sinkhole. There is this lore tablet, but it's written in not the banana glyphs, but the same kind of language that's on the Neptunite that you'll see throughout the game. And it's called Saga of the Exploratone, and it's about the Exploratone who wants to learn the origins of the Fractones, how they came to be. And they think the answer must be down below the Hilltop Layer. It must be deeper within the planet. So they went through the original expedition into the underground world. And so there are two Exploratone verses in Canyon Layer. Verse 2 says, "We worked up our courage and leapt into our first sinkhole. The sensation of landing was jarring, but not painful. We recovered quickly." The landscape here is very different than the hilltops we are accustomed to. The dry air and scent of sand on the hot winds is an intriguing change of pace. If the atmosphere of this new land is this exciting, then we cannot wait to meet those who reside here. And then later on towards the end, you see verse 3, and it says, "We met some creatures here unlike any we have seen before. They had long necks with a distinctive dappled pattern. Their bodies were flexible and fur-covered. We observed them experimenting on Banadium gems to process them as an energy source. They hope to build the underground world's greatest refinery someday. They have great ambition. They dream of a day in which their long necks rise above the crowded throngs of history.
Throngs.
It is time for us to head to the next sinkhole. What sort of creatures will we meet farther down?" So not only did we get the word throng in a Donkey Kong game, terrific.
The crowded throngs of history.
But there's a lot to infer there, Malik, about the giraffes that once lived in the underground world's canyon layer.
Yeah, like I'm wondering, why are they gone? What happened to them? Did they leave? Were they eradicated? What happened?
Well,
did the Foreman kill them all?
It's clear that the Fractones took over, or at least finished their plans for a Banadium refinery. And of course, this isn't made clear here, but the way it's phrased in verse 3 makes me think that they wipe themselves out. They we're trying to process the Banadium gems, and it led to this huge maybe explosion or some sort of giraffe virus or something. I don't know, but they went extinct, or at least this subspecies of giraffe went extinct, and the Fractones came in after they started settling deeper down into the underground world, and they basically kept the giraffe's dream alive, and some of them even took on the bodily proportions of giraffes in tribute.
Yeah, I noticed that. I really did not give it that much thought at the beginning why there were giraffe fractones, but yeah, now that I think about it, it's oh wow, it's what happened here?
Yeah, and I just like that it just gives you enough to go off of, and it really makes you question, where are the giraffes? And, again, I'm not spoiled, so maybe this is answered later in the game. But if it's not, I like that this is kind of a theory or a source of several theories that fans will have over the years. And there'll be all, lore debates. What happened to the giraffes of the canyon layer? And that's the kind of stuff I feast on, Malik. I don't like food, but I love these little
food for thought
lore nuggets, saucy little nugs of lore that make me really just rub my hands in delight, in anticipation of the year's worth of podcast episodes and videos I can do about this.
Yeah, I fully expect other people to make video theory videos on this in the future. If not this year, even well into the future, people will be they'll think about the giraffes and they'll be what happened to those guys? And I just like that. They just get your brain going, even if it ultimately goes nowhere. I just like that they put the thought in my head to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it also really just helps sell this layer for me, because again, I wasn't that into Canyon Layer when I saw glimpses of it, and I was confused because I was there are no giraffes in any of this footage or screenshots I'm seeing. There are just fractones shaped like giraffes. That's weird. I don't know if I like that. And then by the end of it, I'm fully on board with whatever they're doing, and I'm okay, you're telling a story here, and it really does. I think it also helps too, because there's no elder here. There's no giraffe elder here. There are no giraffes whatsoever. There's no giraffe Bananza form you take on in the canyon layer. So it really helps continue the story of the underground world without having to introduce those elements. And it just makes it all the more interesting and intriguing and hints at this long history that existed before Donkey Kong and Pauline got here. And yeah, like I'm really invested at this point in the underground world.
Yeah, I'm all for. I was all for it. I was just like, this is so cool, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, Malik, we have some calls to take. Of course, you can call the DK Vine hotline at 1-202-630-VINE. That is 8463. I can't take everybody's call, but I'm trying to keep the calls in these sublayer discussions to 5 or less. So we've got 5 calls to play. All right, let's play that first call.
Hello, Malik. Hello, Hyle. This is Cronax calling in for the episode on the canyon layer. I think the 2 main things to say here is, 1, I think the canyon layer is very well paced. There's a lot of stuff that you do in this layer. There's like multiple boss fights, but I think it's all laid out in such a way that it's like consistently exciting and you don't feel like weighed down by like the scale of it. I think this is probably the biggest layer that we've gotten to so far. But that's fitting because we're past any sorts of introductions. We've been introduced to the major sorts of layers that we're going to see in the main gameplay loop. So now it's time to throw the player in, and I think they did a very good job at that. There's also where we see the introduction of vine carts, which I think are interesting because they're certainly fun to be in. They're fun to navigate. They're fun to like throw things within. But I also think it's kind of like separated from a bunch of the gameplay. And terrain destruction is obviously very limited when you're in a minecart. It seems like, because it's a Donkey Kong game, they wanted to include minecarts in some way. But if it had never been a part of the series, I'm not sure they would have been included, but I don't begrudge it because I think that it still works and still fun, and I like calling back to old Donkey Kong games as much as anyone else. I do have 2 very minor complaints that are really more nitpicks than anything. Just like for one, we see like giraffe fractones in this area, but we don't see any actual giraffes. And I have to assume this was a form of like expectation management, that like the developers were thinking if there are giraffes but there's no giraffe Bananza, which I agree having another Bananza at this point would probably mess up the pacing, would be too much. But I think that's kind of a dumb reason to not include them at all. So like not every type of animal needs to have this like elder system, right? Like does every animal that exists have its own like ancient record? It just seems like it was too much of a compromise. This also isn't really specific to the canyon layer, but I can't think of another place to put it. We've seen enough Pauline costumes at this point to learn that like none of her costumes have any shoes, and I disagree with this creative choice. I think it's supposed to be like Donkey Kong is more wild or something. So, and that means like moving away from civilization and having shoes or something. And that kind of makes sense for Pauline's main outfit because it's obviously very like rough and tumble. But even when you have these like immaculate 3-piece like outfits or something, there's still no shoes. And I don't like that decision. Thank you for taking the call.
Well, thank you for the call. I've never really thought about Pauline's bare feet in this game until now, really made me confront it. But I'm okay with it because she's 13 years old, and I feel like she's kind of got that rough and tumble spirit where, like, it's a 13-year-old kid going on a wild adventure with a gorilla. And so, yeah, like, leave your shoes at home.
I felt the opposite. I was like, give my girl some shoes.
Well, to be fair, too, she doesn't really get off Donkey Kong's back that much. So she doesn't
they
really...
could be sandals.
She doesn't need to wear shoes. That would just be something she would lose throughout all the wild barrel blasting and minecart riding. And, like, she's just hanging on Donkey Kong's back, or his neck in some cases. So she doesn't need shoes. She's just there to sing.
That's true. I'm just worried that like a rock will get stuck in her feet or something. Yeah.
I mean,
why doesn't she have shoes? This is dangerous.
She's one with the rocks, though. She was a rock.
I guess. Yeah. Fair.
And to your giraffe point, though, I already talked about why I think it's kind of brilliant. Like, the absence of giraffes are supposed to be felt. And yeah, you're probably right. The reason there, like, aren't giraffes is a practical reason of, no Bananza, no Elder. But I like that they went out of their way to build up almost this pathos behind the lack of giraffes and make you, like, wonder. And it wasn't just, we're not going to put giraffes in there for gameplay purposes, and then that's just gameplay design. That's just what we're doing. They actually went out of their way to bake it into the mythology. So it worked for me. It really did. But you're right. Like, I think this was a remarkably well-paced world. And I really liked the interplay between the two sublayers. Like going down into the one and then coming back up to a different part of the map up above. I thought it was really, like, well balanced, and it really flowed well from beginning to end.
I think so too. Like, when I got to Cranky after doing all the Mad Mixer stuff, I was like, wait, have I been here before? I feel like I'm getting lost, but no, it was actually pretty cool how they connected like that.
Right. Like, so far at this point in the game, I would say that each world is paced very differently, but it keeps it feeling fresh. Even in this, like, really large world that maybe doesn't have as much flash as Lagoon Layer had, again, because of the lack of a Bananza, and also just the newness factor is worn off by this point. It does a great juggling act, and it does keep you invested until you're going through that sinkhole to the next world.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for the call. Let's play our second caller.
Let's do it.
Hi, DK Vine. This is Rose, or Brinstar Real Estate. I'm calling in about the Canyon Layer. So, I think the thing that strikes me the most about this layer is the lack of giraffes. There's so many giraffe smokestacks, and there are fractones that are imitating the form of giraffes, but, like, we know that there are zebras and ostriches from the trailers later down in the game, like actual zebras and ostriches. And we know that there are monkeys in the lagoon layer, and there are also, land formations shaped like monkey faces, but no actual giraffes in the canyon layer, even though it's got this whole giraffe theme going on. I mean, yeah, not that I could find. Maybe there's one hidden away somewhere, but I think it's really strange. I think it's strange that the game doesn't seem to mention it that much. There are those lore tablets talking about the Foreman, talking about, like, the factory plans. And my first thought with that Foreman was that, oh, maybe that was Grumpy Kong before he joined Voidco. But looking at it again, I'm like, the character that the Foreman seems to have from those tablets is, like, he seems kind of gruff and, like, very productivity focused and everything. And I don't know if that's really the character the Fractones seem to have. They all seem to be pretty cheerful and happy-go-lucky. So I'm wondering if there were giraffes in the layer and then something happened to them, or, like, if there was a Foreman giraffe at some point and then he moved deeper into the underground world. I don't know. It's cool. I like that we get to have this discussion, this weird omission. I really, really love the Canyon Layer. This was where the game really got its hooks in me, so happy to be talking about it, and I'm excited to listen to the episode. Have a good one.
Well, yeah, another call about the giraffes, Malik.
Hashtag bring back the giraffes.
Yeah, I don't know about the Foreman, because I think, because of the Explore Tone text, I'm thinking the giraffes are long gone, right? Like, I don't think there have been giraffes in the Canyon Layer for, at the very least, centuries, but maybe even longer. But it's possible that the Foreman may be like the last descendant of the giraffes. We never see him, right?
He could be an angry giraffe Foreman.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, it seems atypical for the Fracttone's personality from what we've seen for there to just be like this one Fracttone who's just a complete hard ass. So I don't know, like that. It's a good mystery, and I think we have just enough to go off of as far as like the fate of the giraffes, why the Fracktones run it now, and the identity of the Foreman. There's just a lot of mysteries left open-ended by the time you go through that sinkhole, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that not everything is an open and shut book in Donkey Kong Bananza, and it makes the underground world feel, I think, all the richer. Like, I want to know more about it. I want to revisit it. I would be fine revisiting the underground world in a future game, just to get a little bit more taste of it. Like, it's shaping up for me to be one of the great locations and settings in the DKU.
Yeah, totally. It's got my respect.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. Let's play our third caller.
Okay.
Hello, this is Traveler of the Stars calling in about what I think may be one of my very favorite layers in the entire game. Hyle and Malik, hello Malik. Hyle, I hope you are feeling better with your brush with COVID. We need you out there on the front lines for character witness, Professor Chops, and Luigi with the big sausage. We can't have you out of commission, so I hope you feel better. First of all, this layer looks gorgeous. I'm a sucker for sunsets, so that's the boon for this layer. The music, very good. It's one of the most, this is like the most wide feeling kingdoms, layers, excuse me. I think it's because there's like different like sections to it, so it really feels like huge, and then it has the under section where you fight Mad Mixer. I love how that looks, like with all the particles flying in midair. I do have to say, this is the first layer where we really see, I love all of the Voidco posters, like bananas, mine, or something like that. Like I like it. And I like how, it's the villain is reminding you that they're like present throughout the game. I really like that. I also really continue to really like Grumpy Kong. Obviously, we see him be butthurt, as the kids say, Hyle. I don't know if you've heard of that term. But after you beat his creation, sits there all salty. I've heard some people complain, they're like, oh, you could just like activate like at the Kong Bananza and kill it in like a second. And it's like, yeah, but like you don't have to, I know there's that debate of like, well, the option is there, then like I'm going to do it. But like, I don't know, I didn't, and I like the boss, it's kind of cool. This is one of my favorite layers. Actually, I wasn't going to call into this episode because I was like, I think people are going to hate that I'm calling in every single time. But you know what? How have we waited for this game? And plus, maybe someone out there does like my call. So you know what? I'm going to keep doing it until I don't feel like it, or Hyle, or Jeff, or someone tells me to stop. But keep up the great work, and I'm looking forward to more episodes. See you later.
Thank you for the call, Traveler of the Stars. I enjoy how you've built up this antagonistic relationship with Jeff in your brain, because Jeff infamously hates taking calls on the Kongversation, and you are a caller, so therefore Jeff is your mortal enemy as far as Kongversation co-hosts go.
I like to think that too.
So the posters, Malik, the like Bananas Mine posters of Void Kong, I hadn't really thought about it until now, but it feels basically like one of the very obvious like Odyssey 1-to-1 reskins, because of course in Super Mario Odyssey you have those like wedding invitation posters for Bowser and Peach plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
And it feels like they wanted to do something like that again, but they didn't really know what to do with it. And so they came up with these like propaganda flyers from Voidco. And I don't really know why Voidco would feel the need to win hearts and minds in the underground world.
Yeah, me neither. I'm thinking of like, this ain't no Baron von Ghoul with like rainbow afro in his room. In terms of like
okay
posters and stuff of the main villain. I see what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it's nice, but yeah, now that you mentioned the whole Mario Odyssey angle, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've seen better ones done in other places.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a deal breaker or anything. It's just one of those things where I'm like, you know what? We didn't maybe even really need those just because you did it in Odyssey. This game doesn't need the same thing. Anyway, yeah. So as far as the boss fights go and the ease in which people can breeze through them, I brought this up on the Nerd Cage live appearance I did, so I'm kind of repeating myself. But it's worth bringing up. One of the reasons I don't think I mind the relative ease of these boss fights is because, you know, the difficulty of Donkey Kong games is legendary, especially the Donkey Kong Country games. And, I mean, this game can be difficult, you know. I don't think it is as difficult as past games, but I look back towards Donkey Kong Country Returns and how many kids played that game and never got past the first world or two, because it was so difficult for them. And I'm kind of okay with Bananza easing up a little bit on the difficulty if it doesn't scare away the children. Because we need new blood, Malik. The series needs a new generation of fans. I'm not going to be around forever. Neither are you. Malik, you've got a trick knee now. I've
always had a trick knee, Hyle, but yes.
I mean, if you were a boss fight, at least I know how to take you out quickly.
I'm a stomping clumper.
I'll just kick you in that knee and you'll go down. But I've had my brush with COVID now. Who knows how that's going to affect me in the future, if I have a long COVID, if I have the perpetual brain fog. But we need young, hungry Donkey Kong fans to stick with the series. I think Bananza will do that. I think the theme park, I think the Super Mario Brothers movie and Donkey Kong movie will do that. But, you know, I do think that the extreme difficulty of the series in the past, I mean, it's been something I've embraced and I've appreciated, but the series has to rebuild its fan base a little bit. And I'm fine with Bananza not being so over the top in its difficulty that it's just making kids tune out and like going back to whatever, like going back to Odyssey or whatever they might play in its stead.
Yeah, totally. Like that happened when I remember I babysat the neighbor's kid back in the day, and we played Returns, and he was like 4 or 5 years old, and we tried playing Returns. I was like, this ain't gonna work. This is not going to work.
It's
pretty, but yeah.
I do hope like future Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Country style games have that difficulty, but maybe not in the first world. Like maybe like save that towards the end game. Like build it slowly so the little kids can at least get far enough in where they like the experience.
Yeah, give them a false sense of security, and then
look, eventually, I mean, they'll be confronted with something like the Windy Brambles, and that is just part of the growing experience. And then they'll have to ask themselves, how much do I want to see the end of this game?
Mm-hmm.
And
like, am I brave enough for this?
Yeah.
Can I do this?
I mean, Donkey Kong Country is the first time I really had to push myself to play a game well and not rely on things like warp zones or game genies or game sharks or cheat codes or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if a game's good enough, then they will find the strength within, but don't scare them away in like the first world, please.
Yeah, no, don't do it that. Don't do it that early.
Speaking of the posters, just a banana in my pocket in our live stream says there was an in-character piece posted to the Switch News tab that reads like workplace HR propaganda. The posters seem like an extension of that. Like Void knows it's a shit workplace. Guy won't even throw his employees a pizza party, just hangs up a bunch of flyers and calls it a day. I suppose it could be like propaganda for the Voidco monsters, like the crocoloids and the squealoids and the stompoids.
I guess so. Do you think they like pizza?
Just a banana in my pocket also has a great point. The Foreman doesn't say us. The Foreman doesn't speak in the like plural pronouns of the Fractones.
That is true. They do refer to the Foreman with he/him pronouns, I believe. So maybe.
I mean, at very least Foreman. So yeah, I don't know if it's a giraffe, but it might not be a Fractone. Interesting.
Is it George Foreman? No, that's stupid. I retract that.
Plus, he passed away.
The ghost of George Foreman.
The ghost of George Foreman.
Or one of his sons that is named George also.
Yeah. I mean, we love that, right? We love confusing parentage and just having the same names.
I knew it would come. I knew this would work out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the call, Traveler of the Stars. Let's play our fourth caller.
Hi, Hyle. This is a Cartoonosaurus Rex. I just got a Switch like 5 days ago, I think, as of the time of recording this, and I just beat Donkey Kong Bananza today, and holy crap, what a game! So, and it's just like, it's honestly amazing. If this doesn't win Game of the Year, I want Phil. No, what was his name again? You know the guy. I want his head on the pike. Is what I'm getting at. Anyway, about the canyon layer, one of my favorite things about that layer is the fact that the members of Voidco have their faces carved into one of the mountains, and like at the top, near one of the getaways, which is such a cool detail to me, because like it proves that Voidco has had they've left their mark on a lot of Voidcos. They've had a lot of impact and left a lot of their mark on the various layers of the underground world. And you can smash into those faces, as you can with a lot of the terrain, but you probably know that by now. And you can actually find stuff like hidden bananas and a bonus gold level. It is honestly really cool, and I think that honestly, it felt like seeing, like, Mount Rushmore, like, random heads carved into the sides of the mountain. It's, like, honestly weird and cool, and I love details like that. Because I only smashed up Voidkong's face, really. And that was after I beat the game. No spoilers, by the way, but you're going to love that finale. And it's honestly... it's just so cool. I mean, Canyon Layer is not even my favorite layer. That's one later on in the game, a little later on. But it's honestly such a really cool little thing. The rest of the game is like friggin' baller. By the way, wait, are people still calling things baller? God, I need to check up on my lingo. Anyway, bye.
Thank you for the call. I don't believe people refer to things as baller anymore.
I do behind closed doors.
Malik's secret shame.
That Kongversation podcast I just did was baller.
Well, 5 days and you beat Donkey Kong Bananza. I can't imagine. I'm
Took me at least 7.
Oh, well, yeah, I can't fathom taking that long, or taking that, like, amount of time, that brief amount of time to beat the game. But again, I am just, like, soaking in every detail that I can. And yes, I did try to smash as much of the Voidco trio's faces off the mountain as I could. I was like, oh, okay, you know what? We're going to take this from the rare style island to the retro style island. Smash, 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 smash.
Go Blastomatic on him.
I'm glad you enjoyed the game. Thank you for not spoiling the end for me. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to love it. And I'm just like, oh, I'm afraid my brain is building up what this ending is. And when I actually get there, it's going to be underwhelming because I'm just imagining the most spectacular of finales. Like, Shigeru Miyamoto walks out and says, Mario has died. And Donkey Kong is now Nintendo's mascot forevermore.
It's like how Hideo Kojima shows up in the Metal Gear games as himself. Miyamoto shows up and it's like, yeah, Mario is dead. So saith Miyamoto.
Unfortunately, we found out some unsavory details about Mario's past, and therefore we've severed all ties with him.
Also, his head.
Miyamoto pulls up Mario's bleeding head and just holds it up.
That's the end of Bananza.
You just get the truncated getaway version of the DK rap playing over, like, as the credits roll.
I'm sorry to
I'm gonna
say
be disappointed now.
Happening.
Everything's gonna fail to live up to that in my head.
You will be sadly disappointed.
Yeah. Thank you for the call. All right, we have one more call, and then Malik, my energy levels are spiraling. I feel like this is the hardest I've gone in over a week, aside from the time I was over the toilet heaving my guts out. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, let's play this last call so I can go sleep for hours.
All right, sounds good.
There's a Kong man waiting in the ground. He'd like to come and meet us, but he think he'd blow our minds. Okay, that joke was probably better when I thought of it, because I made it up when, like, Superman just released in theaters. But hello, DK Vine, this is Chocolate Milk Drinker. Calling in hopefully for the Canyon episode of the Kongversation. Oh, I've recently just been going back trying 100% Bananza. And it has been such a great experience going through all the layers of just finding stuff that I missed and missed and missed. And Canyon Layers is definitely one of them. In my original playthrough, I think the Canyon Layer was probably one of the layers I spent the most time on before I was like, oh my god, I'm playing this game a bit too much. But anyways, I've been realizing so much little details that I never noticed at all when I was playing through the Canyon Layer, and that's what makes it so great. And once you get the later Bananza forms, like Ostrich Zebra, you can even make the, like, experience so much better and just do so many things you thought you could never do before. Like, it wasn't until I went back to the layer later after I beat the game, I noticed that there was also little heads of Grumpy Kong and Poppy Kong, right there, right next to the big Void Kong head in the canyon. And I think that's really cool. There's even little bananas you can get to them if you can reach them. And I think that's really awesome instead of even, like, just find all these hidden little details that you'll probably never notice unless you're trying to actively look for them. And, I don't know what else to say. Well, I guess that's it. Bye, DK Vaughn.
Thank you for the call, Chocolate Milk Drinker. Yeah, I've wondered, I haven't gone back into Canyon Layer yet, but like obviously like people know about the zebra bonanza and the ostrich bonanza. I've wondered like how easy would it be to traverse Canyon Layer with the ostrich bonanza coming back into it.
Stupid easy.
Stupid easy.
It's stupid easy.
And this is the stubbornness that is just part of my play style with any game really, but specifically DKU games. Like I have to get all the Banadium gems that I can get before I move on. And so even knowing that there will be like ways that are easier in the future, like if I just come back later, I'm like, nope, can't do it. In one layer that will be very, very soon, we'll discuss on the conversation, there was one Banadium gem that I was like, this is probably one I'm not supposed to be able to get until later, but I'm here. I'm going to figure out how I can get it. And I was able to cheese it. And it took a while. It took a while to cheese it, but I figured out how to get the Banadium gem before having the ostrich bonanza. And I'll talk about that when the time comes. But yeah, I'm very, very stubborn, Malik.
That happens to me too sometimes, where I'm like, there were many bananas where I was like, I don't think I was supposed to get it that way, but I'll take it.
Yeah, there's obviously like there's probably a preferred way for most of the stuff in this game, but they design it so it's really like it's okay if you go this way or go that way, and you know.
Yeah.
You're like, that's part of the game's process, and I enjoy that freedom is sometimes baked in. Not always, like sometimes they do design it, well, no, this is the only way you can really get this, but yeah, there is some wiggle room here and there.
Totally.
Well, Malik, that brings us to the end of the Canyon Layer, and my first post-COVID episode of the Kongversation. So... You know, I was wondering what the reaction to this layer is going to be, because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be everyone's favorite, or if, you know, this layer would be kind of an unsung hero of the bunch, just because there is no bonanza form. There is like a lot to explore, and there's arguably less room to romp around compared to Lagoon Layer or Hilltop Layer. But I really, really enjoyed this world. And that's, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because I do tend to come around on most things related to Donkey Kong. But pre-release, I was not that enthused about this world in particular. And then by the end of it, I was more on board with Donkey Kong Bananza than I'd even been up until that point. And I think it's, again, one of the first worlds where the back and forth between the sublayers, it feels seamless, and it feels like it's constantly forward momentum. It's not really one that involves a lot of backtracking or like looking behind you, but it feels like you're just constantly snaking up and down, up and down. And like, I enjoyed not getting to reach various distances, like on the top level, Sublayer 300, until, say, you climb out of the smokestack from 301. And then all of a sudden you're in this whole area you've been looking at but couldn't access. I mean, unless you had the Ostrich Bonanza and played out of order, but whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, this upends the formula. You know, Lagoon Layer had one boss towards the end, to be expected. Hilltop Layer had no bosses. This has 3 boss fights. And I really like that this early stage in the game, and I really feel like Canyon Layer concludes the first chapter of the game, if you will. because it shows like a wide diversity of gameplay design and shows that there's really not going to be a traditional formula being followed. It's going to keep you on your toes, and it's going to keep surprising you as you continue to journey down into the underground world. And I think even more importantly for me, even more than Hilltop Layer, if Hilltop Layer left any remaining doubt, Canyon Layer was where it was fully cemented that this game does indeed have lore, and that Nintendo is actually telling a pretty intricate story about Donkey Kong, about Pauline, about the residents of the underground world, and about Voidco and everything that's happening. So, yeah, this world, I think I even like it more than Lagoon Layer and Hilltop Layer.
Very interesting. So, like, yeah, when I first played through the Canyon Layer, it didn't leave much of an impression on me, but after going back and getting myself reacquainted with the place, I also got a lot more respect for it, and I was like, you know what? It's actually pretty baller.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.